psychiatric doctor by profession, abused from the first week of marriage for 7 years. My guest had totally lost herself and who she was. A word in season came that changed everything. A story of liberty and favor. Welcome, Folashade Olajubu, Dr. Folashade Olajubu.
I'm not big on titles, but thank you.
Okay, because we're going to touch on a bit of that, that's what I just thought I would stress it a bit. So tell us a bit, a doctor in what before we go on?
Well, I'm a medical doctor who then specialized in psychiatry, who then went on to specialize in forensic psychiatry.
Oh, forensics, like we see in movies.
I don't know. What you see on movies is a bit fake. But essentially, I treat people that have mental health difficulties who have some kind of contact with the criminal justice system or pose a risk to the public.
Ah, okay. In a very quick, short way. Okay, we'll come back to that eventually. Tell us a bit about your childhood. I know that you shared a bit of the fact that you were here before. Tell us a bit about your childhood and how, your childhood was like, what it was like.
Well, I'm a child of the 60s, and essentially my parents came here in the early 60s to study. And so I and my immediate younger brother were born here. And it seems really strange now because we don't do that anymore. But back in the 60s, what they did was they would foster children. So I'm one of those children who got fostered, and I got fostered really, really early. What I've been told by my parents was I went to a couple of foster parents way before the age of 7 months, and then at 7 months I ended up with my foster parents, who became my second set of parents, my English parents in Canvey Island, Essex. And so I spent my whole childhood, me and actually my brother as well, with my second parents, my English parents in Canvey Island, Essex. And we lived there, or I lived there. Well, the first time I went to Nigeria was quite interesting. Too long a story, but we're taken there at 8. No warning, so almost kidnapped, so to speak. Spent a couple of months there, didn't settle, and my dad told my mum to bring us back, and then stayed back in Canvey again until almost 11. And then apparently what I was told was that English foster parents have started going to court and legally adopting kids, saying that they've been abandoned. So my father...
there was a lot of that in that period, I do remember, because if I remember very well, I think one of my siblings was actually going through the same. Wow, so they were actually fostering those parents, adopting those children.
So my father heard that in Nigeria, and he was like, no way, I haven't abandoned my kids. I sent them back because it seemed like they found it difficult to settle in Nigeria. So my mother was dispatched again. And it was actually quite traumatic, because what she did was she stayed around for a good couple of months, and our guard was down. And then she said, it's my birthday, and you have to come and stay with me. So we went to stay with her, and whoops, she whipped us off again to Nigeria.
You were sharing with me, how was that for you in terms of, did you feel rejected at some time, going through fostering with fostering parents, being with your parents? How did that unsettle you?
It was very difficult because, of course, I was me and my brother were the only blacks in the village. So we weren't really brought up with the Nigerian culture. And then we didn't really spend that much time with our mum and dad. I think my father actually got it. My father is very cosmopolitan. He's travelled the world, etc. I don't think my mother quite got it. So I think in my mother's mind it was, well, I'm your mother and you should have a relationship with me. But it didn't work like that. And then my parents were going through their own dysfunction, so to speak. So although we ended up going to Nigeria and having a lifestyle that was very different from living on Canvey Island, Essex, it was a very turbulent living circumstance, and I just personally never really bonded properly with my mother, and also got caught in the crossfire between my parents as their marriage continued to I don't know quite how to put it.
To put it right.
Yeah.
I guess they were trying to find themselves. I mean, thinking about it, if from some of the stories I've heard, it's really taken a toll on the children and the ability for them to then still build that relationship with their parents if they've lived with foster parents. I've always been a bit of a challenge. Are you still in contact with your fostering parents?
My foster parents were a bit more, maybe a little bit older than my biological parents, and they've sadly both passed away. I still have contact with my foster sisters. In terms of my relationship with my biological parents, I'm a daddy's girl, so I have an amazing relationship with my daddy. In fact, my baby sister would say, you are daddy's favorite person. I don't think so. I think daddy just loves us all differently, for different reasons. But I have to admit that it's been quite difficult with my biological mother. I sometimes think that I don't want to say envy, maybe that's the wrong word, but I think I do really envy women who have that really close relationship with their mother and they're always on the phone with their mother, confiding in their mother. I don't have that relationship with my mother. I want the best for my mother. I support my mother as we do the Nigerian style, but I don't have that relationship where if there's something exciting, like today, for example, I have some friends who, if they were doing something like this today, they would have been on the phone to their mums. I don't have that kind of relationship with my mom.
So did you then make, because I think Abeta can share a bit of your experience, did you then make that conscious effort as a result of what happened to you with your own daughters? What's the relationship like with your own daughters?
I have an amazingly blessed relationship with my daughters. I think that I was very conscious. I mean, what I did was I took the positives from all of my parenting and also learnt from the negatives. So I'm very close. My daughters, my older daughter's 26, my younger daughter is 23. And
can I say you don't look it?
Thank you.
26, wow.
And and we have a really close relationship, and I think what I learned was for them to have a secure base. I learned that to be non-judgmental, that they could tell me about anything and everything. I tend to be also the mom who their friends come and whisper to about things as well, you know. And initially, I believe I don't know, some of your viewers may not be Christians, but I'm a committed Christian, and my life is very much led by the Holy Spirit, especially now as I've gone on my journey. And one of the things I felt the Lord taught me was about you have to have a listening ear. If your children come and tell you things, then you go, ah! As African parents tend to do.
They run, and
they never come back. So I tend to be the mother who hears about what's going on for them and also hears what's going on for their friends as well. And sometimes is a listening ear for their friends.
Very good, thank you. And please feel free to express the Christian side of your journey.
Yeah.
You did go back to Nigeria. You did your degree in Nigeria in Ife, and that was in medicine. Yeah. And then did you get married in Nigeria?
So I went back to, I did my secondary school in Nigeria at what is known to be a prestigious secondary school back in the day, Holy Child College. And I think for me, again, this is drawing on the Christian side of things. I think there's power in what we say. My father and mother had decided that I must be a doctor. So from a very young age, I was told, you are going to study medicine. And I have to say, no option. At some point, I really kind of felt very resentful. I felt like I wasn't given an option. But yeah, I kind of did my O-levels, and then there was a way of getting into university without A-levels, where you did something called the JAM then, and I did the exams hoping I would fail, and I passed. So I went to Ife.
That would have been your get-out clause.
That would have been my get-out clause. But yeah, I got there, and I have to say, for the first couple of years, I really struggled because I really didn't want to be there. I actually wanted to come back to England, and it wasn't possible. So I struggled academically, I think I struggled emotionally. But I think one of the two really good things happened for me in Ife. The first thing was I came into a relationship with Christ when I got halfway through, and that impacted on my academics, because I went from a student who at one point was struggling to the top of the class. But I also met a set of friends who are sisters till today. And when we're now older than our children are now older than we were when we met. So we met in our teens, and we've continued a really close friendship. We traveled the world together. It's just amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful. So that transition period for you was when you started your relationship in uni with Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, when I first got there, just to, again, in case some of your viewers don't understand the cultural context, when I started my relationship with the Lord, it was in Nigeria, and the environment was very cultural. And I think that sometimes the people on the ground, with the best will in the world, they brought culture into the relationship with the Lord. And I struggled because, remember, I was a girl who was brought up in Essex. And I also had a father who was very cosmopolitan and traveled the world. So I was a girl who wore trousers, and it was no big deal. And my dad is, even at 87, is charming, and you know, my dad would drive down and we would be gisting, and that was very, for some of that generation, it wasn't like that. So I wasn't really used to this strict. I am daddy's girl. You know, my dad would come and gist me about this, that, and the other. And I remember one time, it wasn't funny actually, somebody thought it was my sugar dad. It's like, no, that's my dad. Yes, he's very charming, and he's because he was.
It was like an elderly man friend.
Yeah, like, no, that is my damn.
Oh, sure is, yeah.
But yeah, the cultural bit. So I started my relationship with the Lord, or as we would say, got born again. But then initially I struggled because a lot of culture came in. So suddenly I was being told you shouldn't wear makeup, you shouldn't wear trousers. And it didn't really sit well with me. So I really struggled in those first couple. It is relationship, and I've learned that over the years that it is the relationship. And I'm grateful to God for the relationship I have with him now. But those first couple of years I struggled. I don't want to pretend it was all plain sailing, because it wasn't. And at one point, it was almost like I put it down and thought, this is not for me. For having a ding-dong about hair and makeup.
Because we're a bit very strict, very rigid, don't do this. That's not what it's about, isn't it?
I think it's evolved over the years, even in Nigeria, but then it was very rigid.
Yeah, that's fine. So what was marriage like for you? Because you met your husband then in Nigeria, was that correct?
I did. So I went to a really popular church in Lagos, and if I named the church, everybody would know it. And if I named my pastor, who's also my elder daughter's godfather, everybody would know. But I haven't got permission to do that, so I'm not going to. But I met my husband in church, and I think the challenge for me was that I was still what you call a very baby Christian, and the Bible doesn't say marry the best friend of your pastor, which was what my ex-husband was. And it doesn't say that's how you measure the maturity of a Christian. The Bible says by your fruits you will know them. So I think I was very starstruck, like this particular pastor is one of the celebrity pastors in Nigeria. And I think I was really very starstruck by that. And I had come out of a relationship and got with, I can be real, I think I got with my ex-husband on the rebound. And then I kind of wasn't mature enough to realize that you still have to, by your fruits, it's not because the person's a friend of the pastor, that doesn't dictate maturity. And so I didn't realize that. And I did have a measure of affection for my husband, but there was lots of other stuff going on, including the breakdown of this other relationship. And before I knew it, I was married.
So was there a courtship period? Hold on to that, Josh. So my question is, was there a courtship period? We're going to have a quick break now. Please stay tuned. We'll be back. Thank you.